Identifying.
Got that one.
G'day guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Today we have Chucky for you from the Child's Play movie series. He's pretty creepy. I remember watching this as a kid and not enjoying it too much. Once you've printed off your template from the Cakes by Chopper Facebook page, place it on top of your cake, cut out the entire circumference, keeping your knife vertical. And then on the lower half of the cake, you're going to cut out his face and do it in halves because this helps it fit in the one sheet. And create his head that comes off the top of his hair. Then you're going to trim that back, making sure all the edges taper down, because his face isn't going to have sharp corners. It's going to be like a mask, basically. Take off all the sharp edges from the hair, then fill it with buttercream. Go around and give it a crumb coat. This is just your base layer. Then you're going to put on his face and cover that too, and pop it into the fridge to set a little bit before we add the fondant. The reason we pop it into the fridge is to let the buttercream set a bit, so when we apply the fondant, it gives us a safeguard because the buttercream will be set and firm and it won't stick to the fondant as bad. If we make a mistake, we can just peel it up and start again. Okay, so rolling out your fondant, leaving it quite thick in the middle, then you're going to cut out the shape of his face with an inch border around to allow to taper down the edge. There will be a bit of excess, but not much. Place that on top, trim it off. Then this is the trickiest part of the cake. You're going to put the template on top, mark out where his eyebrows, his eye sockets and his mouth go, and then you're going to just shape his eyes and the dint of his mouth in. This is quite easy. You just got to keep manipulating it until you're happy with the final look. You've got the picture in front of you. Just push in the shadows and remember anything's highlighted, leave going up. Now for the nose, I rolled a little bit of fondant up and then gently molded that to the middle piece, and same for the lips. Just rolled them into a little snake, put them on. Same goes for the eyes. Use a little bit of white, shape them to the right size from the template, and then I've put these corner little eyelids on just because I wanted it to look like it's overlapping the actual eyeball, and then just use your shaping tool to mold it down a little bit. Pop some white fondant into his mouth for the teeth. Now we're going to create an illusion with this, which we'll come back to. Grabbing some gold and some pink petal dust, I've mixed it together to make a fleshy tone, and then I'm going to give it some shading, which I later also do with some food colouring. For Chucky's eyes, I just used some blue food dye and then painted that on, and then used a darker edge, and then some red vanilla fondant, which I rolled into a little ball, placed in the middle, and then smoothed out to the right size. To give his eyes some light reflection, just roll a little bit of white fondant into a teardrop, and then push that on. Okay, now you're going to create the illusion in his mouth. You're going to paint around the edge and then in between his teeth, and then use a wet brush to smear the black to look shadowed so it looks like the teeth are sinking back. Now using some liquid food dye, I've got yellow, brown and a little bit of red to create this fleshy tone that's going to give him some shadows around his face. And then to thin that out, I've just dipped the brush in water and continued to blend that throughout the whole face to give it the look I want. Just keep working at this. You don't want any harsh lines. You really want it blended all the way around. Then you're going to get some black food dye on a very thin brush, trace his eyes, give him some eyelashes, some further black shadowing around his mouth. And now it's time for the big cuts and scars. Go through with the knife, and as you're cutting, just sort of wiggle it gently side to side to make it an open wound. And then you're going to pipe in some red piping gel to make it look like blood and a cut wound that Chucky has. Do that all through each scar, and then a little bit of blood to trickle off his mouth. I forgot the ones at the side. Here, I'm adding them in now. Then you're going to paint on his eyebrows. That's just the brown flesh tone that I used that wasn't watered down. Give him some freckles, and highlight his lips and give him a little bit of colour. Now you're going to use some red buttercream to pipe on his hair. Follow the motion you want the hair to go. Then you're going to dip a fork in some warm water, preferably hot water actually, and then rake it over in the direction you want the hair. And there's your Chucky cake. Hope you guys enjoyed the first video of my Halloween week. If you didn't know this was happening, then you're not joined up to the Facebook page, so pop over and check that out. And also check out my friends here, Nico, Elise from My Cupcake Addiction, Anna from Cooking with Karma, and One Pot Chef. They've done some great Halloween recipes too. Thanks guys, see you next time.